Mehran Dadbeh is a student of Aikido with mind and body coordinated for the past 19 years. He has been using key development principles all through his adult life and successful in meeting his life's challenges. Continued testing of power of ki in daily life has proven to be the most positive and reliable way to meet challenges of his life. As part of his style of life, he enjoys sharing this art with his students, and as he puts it, he has met the biggest challenges of his life armed with ki. Therefore, he continues to make positive changes and progress.
It is my pleasure to be able to do this tape and hope it would remedy and turn around many of your challenging life situations into more manageable, responsible, disciplined, and successful ones, allowing you to continue your journey through life safely, successfully, and positively with mind and body coordinated, withstanding the storms of your life and concentrating on your ultimate goals with calmness. Why martial arts meditation? Why mind training? What is mind and body coordination? Do you exercise to get your physique strong? If the answer is yes, well, good, because it is important and necessary to exercise and get the body in shape. It has become a habit, however, to train just what is visible and tangible. Most people only pay attention to what they can see. But is the reality only what can be seen? Therefore, what cannot be seen with our eyes does not exist. If this is true, then the portion of an iceberg our eyes could see on the surface of the ocean water is all there is to the size of the iceberg. However, we all know that there is another part to the iceberg, which is underneath the surface, and is not visible, but yet exists. And it is even thousands of times bigger than the part that is visible on the surface. It is the same with us humans too. The power we use in our daily life is like the visible segment of an iceberg. We also, like the iceberg, have thousands of times bigger powers which are not visible, yet exist within us. So it only makes sense to understand the importance of training the invisible part, the mind, too. Only by training both the body, the visible part, and the mind, the invisible part, we can manifest the total powers which is naturally ours. Just as we train our muscles through all kinds of sports and different exercises, there are also exercises by which we can strengthen our mind power. Let us ask, is it the mind that moves the body, or the body that rules the mind? Let us imagine that we are in a room. Now, if we want to go to the other side of this room, does our body go first, then our mind follows? Or does our mind go first, then our body follows? Of course, everything that we do, or we want to do, our mind thinks of it and does it first. To make the point more clear, let us tie up the body with a strong rope, so tightly that the body could not even move an inch. Does this also mean our mind sits still too? We know that the answer is no, since our mind becomes ever more active and could and would go to many different places. In one instant, it can travel to the moon and back, then before we know it, it's ready to go to Mars or other places in the world. It has been known that people have recovered from an illness overnight due to a positive change in their mental state. It has also been seen where an athlete who has been ready and in top shape and form performing poorly due to a slight change in his state of mind. We have also experienced that a single cold could affect our spirit and mood. One thing that everyone has come to realize is that mind and body do affect each other. To simplify the connection between mind and body, we could put it in this way, that the brain is the command center of our machine, the body. So does it make sense not to take good care of the command center or the engine room? Does it make sense to just take care of and strengthen or exercise the body, which are the moving parts of the machine, and neglect the mind, which is the command center? After all, it is our mind that controls and moves our bodies. So does it not make sense to make both strong, not just the body? Just as you make sure the command center and the control room of any machine to be in tip-top shape to ensure the maximum and optimum use and function of that machine, therefore we must try our best to train our own control room, our mind, to ensure the smooth and excellent function of our body. If our mind is not strong and healthy, the massive body we have trained and built could stop properly functioning, even stop moving. Only by coordination and harmonization of the mind and body we can reach our highest abilities in everything we do in life and accomplish important tasks. Whether this task is amateur or professional sporting activities, education, business, schooling and any other test, martial arts, or arts of painting or creating. Whether it is to become a more tolerant person or to help find a more positive path. These important tasks could very well be withstanding any of life's challenges or going through and turning around depressing and desperate moments. In other words, the task could be to do the best we can possibly do in anything and everything we touch in the most positive manner. We make tremendous efforts to pamper our bodies and rest it when we feel it's time for it to rest. Some of us make a big fuss about how they need to rest, and they do rest quite often, even when not really necessary. But we are all conscious and concerned about this resting business for our bodies. But how about our mind? Does it not need to recuperate and re-energize and get strong too? Just because it is not visible, then it does not need to be taken care of? Of course it does. How? Imagine a lake. If this lake is having stormy waves, even an object as big as the moon itself will not be reflected in it clearly and would look like a broken light bulb and difficult to distinguish. However, if the same lake is having calm waters with no waves, then even details of a dashing bird will clearly be reflected on its surface even before the bird arrives or is exactly on top of the lake. We must also learn to decrease the ripples of our minds to infinitely imperceptible decreasing ripples so we may have a more clear picture of the situations or happenings of life. This more clear picture gives us more information about the circumstances, resulting in a better judgment by us about that circumstance, which will lead to better results, getting us closer and closer to our goals, leading to a happier life when we reach that goal, and happiness is what we are after, isn't it? By establishing this calm state in our mind, the clarity of the reflections of the happenings would increase by many-fold, helping us tremendously to resist temptations to be hasty, and will help us to do the right thing rather than choosing wrong affiliations or alternatives. What is ki, or life energy? If you ask someone what we need to stay alive, they would probably respond by saying, well, I need to eat, to drink, to breathe. Most often they forget the fourth one, which is to sleep. Just as fish have forgotten about the water it swims and breathes in, we too have forgotten about the energy we are using to stay healthy and vigorous. We call this energy ki. You see, when we sleep, our mind enters a state that accepts the energy that naturally exists in the universe, or the nature. That is why when we wake up in the morning, we are fresh, vigorous, and feel good. However, even if we just lay on the couch all day and do nothing, at the end of the day, we are exhausted. This is because we have been consuming something all along during the day in order to even lay on the couch and to facilitate the functioning of our system. That energy that we have consumed is called ki. So obviously, the more fresh ki we have in our body, the healthier we are. We must learn how to bring this fresh ki into our bodies constantly and continuously. The reason is simple to recognize. Imagine you're in front of the ocean or a large body of water. You now scoop up some of the water of the ocean and you call it my water. Well, in your eyes, yes, this is your water. But in the eyes of the great ocean, this is part of the great ocean's water. Now, if we continue keeping this water in our hands and out of the ocean, after a while, it will start stinking and is not fresh anymore. In order to keep it fresh, we must put our hands, which are holding the water in, back into the ocean and let it have conflux and interchange it needs to keep it fresh. The more conflux it has, the fresher it stays. It is the same with our life powers. We have encased some ki or energy in our flesh and call it my life. In our eyes, yes, it is our life. But in the eyes of the great universe, it's part of the great universal life. Now, if we want our life or energy or ki to stay fresh, we must let it have conflux and interchange with the great universal ki. As long as this interchange continues, we are healthy. When it is interrupted, we become sick. And if this interruption of flow or interchange of ki continues and the flow eventually stops completely, we die. We can achieve the improvement of this interchange through meditation and not just when we sleep. Mind and body. Mind and body are originally one, made from the same material. But through our lives, unfortunately, we have learned to treat them as two separate entities. The mind is refined and the body is coarse. Mind is refined body. There is no dividing line where the mind stops and the body begins. They're inseparable. The continuation of our lives without either one is impossible. We must now learn to coordinate them again. For when the rules of body and the rules of mind are moving together, like the wheels of a car, then we manifest our total powers and achieve the harmony we need to withstand the challenges we may face in life, whatever they may be. The biggest dojo, which means training hall, the biggest dojo in the world is life itself. Therefore, our training should reflect the preparation for the challenges we may face in it. Mind and body coordination is that training. We can achieve this harmonization and coordination of mind and body through martial arts meditation. Concentration. Why learn concentration meditation? Why learn to strengthen concentration at all? If we put an afternoon's sun rays through a lens, we can concentrate the light so much to the point that it would create a flame on other objects when this concentrated light is directed upon them. And if we put it through a projector, then the light dissipates and loses power. So concentration is power. It is also the same for our minds. Unfortunately, most people are continuously doing things that weaken the power of their mind. For example, most people are accustomed to read the paper while eating, or listen to music when doing serious studying. The mind moves the body. Let's don't forget that. The mind tastes the food through information put through by the tongue. Mind walks through manipulation of the legs. Unfortunately, the idea held by the average person is that the tongue tastes and the legs walk. So they figure the tongue tastes the food quite adequately, even if the eyes are busy reading the paper. In fact, all they are doing is diminishing their ability to taste while they're reading. Most people in such situations don't even know what they're eating. At the same time, they're depriving themselves of practicing concentration, for everything we do is an opportunity to concentrate. Through Tohe-style concentration meditation, we can achieve a higher level of concentration in our daily lives. So if your mind is not ready to walk, then better not go to the streets, for you may cause a traffic accident. Excited inventors and love-stricken youth run into posts since their minds are elsewhere rather than on what they're doing. Traffic accidents happen as the result of the same thing. It is dangerous to let children go out of the home into heavy traffic on the way to school while their mind is not aware of what it is doing. So it is wise to have children call out loudly, "I am going," before they leave home in the morning. This lets parents know where the child is, since the children these days often say nothing when leaving the home, and parents are not aware whether their children are at home or not, since each member of the family having their minds on so many different things that they become unaware of what the other is doing. Also, it gives a strong awareness to the child who's setting out to the street to go to school, and gathers his mind, making sure to be conscious and concentrate his or her mind on what they're attempting to be doing, that they're going to school. So they would put their mind forward and help them to be better prepared for possible danger on the way to school. If you wish to master something, make clearing your mind and concentration a habit. Unify your thoughts, then direct your mind toward the task you wish to accomplish. I'm sure you agree. When doing things as simple as cutting carrots, your fingers are safe only as long as you have your mind on the carrot, since it is actually the mind that concentrates and orchestrates the cutting, not the hands. If you like what you're doing, it becomes easy, since concentration would not be a chore. Whether you're playing or working, concentration on what you're doing strengthens your mind. What separates deciding to do the right thing or the wrong is as small as a grain of wheat. It is necessary to strengthen the mind to withstand the temptations we encounter. We need the confidence in ourselves by having trained our mind to be able to use that extra grain and lean toward doing the right thing, and strengthen our minds to be attracted to the right rather than the wrong. It means to think deep and judge well before we do anything, and not to do something just because we feel like it or because others are doing it, whatever it may be, regardless of what age category they may be in. Let us train our mind and body, harmonize with the power of the great universe, and say with Confucius, "If I have a clear mind, I dare to face an enemy of 10,000. If we can be a better person, others will follow us gladly. And before we know it, the chain reaction has caused a family, then a circle of friends, then a city, and then a nation change in a positive and unselfish manner. And of course, this ripple will affect the world in general to become a better place, and so on. Throughout the cosmos, the effect of our actions will be felt. Whether we want it or not, the ripples of our actions do travel and touch others and affect the existence of all, everywhere. And interestingly enough, we'll come back and touch ourselves again. So it is better to have all the ripples starting from us to be as the result of our positive thoughts and actions. Separate yourselves from negative doings, negative thoughts, and negative people. For negative brings negative, and plus brings more plus. Strengthening and coordinating our mind and body, and stay away from wrong as much as possible. The technology today affects every aspect of our lives. Machinery put men out of work through increasing their capabilities and capacities and advancement of science. It is now that we realize that regardless of how science and technology have advanced, it has done little or nothing to help us to realize and reach our true capabilities and potential. It is time to stop waiting for the science and technology to do it for us and make a better world in which we live. We must each take it upon ourselves to enrich our lives by reaching our highest capabilities and understand our total powers by learning about the limitless powers we have and advancement of our spiritual state. 10 rules for our daily lives. Let us observe the 10 rules for our daily lives and make a better world by not putting ourselves ahead of everyone else all the time and in every situation. Number 1, universal mind. Number 2, love all creation. Number 3, be grateful. Number 4, do good in secret. Number 5, have merciful eyes and gentle body. Number 6, be forgiving and large-hearted. Number 7, think deep and judge well. Number 8, be calm and determined. Number 9, be positive and vigorous. Number 10, persevere. Thinking positive. Thinking positive should not be just a saying as a beautiful conversation piece. It should become a state of mind. We must learn how we may do this. This is done by understanding the relationship between conscious and subconscious mind. You see, our subconscious mind acts as a storage compartment for the conscious mind. Whatever we do through our conscious mind is based on the information and experiences we have gathered in our lifetime and exists as a stored data in our subconscious. So if we wish to be positive and do positive and lead a positive life, we must have a subconscious which contains all good attitudes and thoughts. If we have negative thoughts in our subconscious mind, our conscious mind will do negative interaction with the world. If we have positive thoughts, then the conscious will be involved in a positive style of life. How can we change our subconscious? To learn this, let's understand the following. Imagine we have a bowl full of ink. If we put a drop of fresh water in it and look to see if there is a change, we see no change. But in reality, there is a change, but just not visible yet. If we continue these drops of fresh water, eventually the bowl of ink will fill up and start spilling over. And the fresh water will push all the ink out of the bowl, and eventually nothing but fresh water will be left in the bowl. The same works for our subconscious. If we continuously put positive thoughts in our subconscious, eventually these positive thoughts push the negatives out of the subconscious mind, and eventually the whole subconscious is changed to nothing but positive thoughts. So our conscious mind will have no choice but to do and conduct in positive manner. And since plus brings plus, we end up leading a positive life. We can achieve this by meditating before sleeping and gaining the confidence we need by letting the small effects of meditation on our subconscious gather up and clear it of all negatives and fears, resulting in a strong, positive, and confident personality. Some people moan and groan that they are not lucky. Let us get help from the field of medicine and see clearly how lucky each and every one of us are. When a male produces sperm each time there is an emission, there are about 300 million sperm cells produced. And the number of sperm cells produced by a male during a lifetime is of course astronomical. Among all those, only one sperm succeeds and wins the competition over all other ones and unites with the ovum. And you are born. and for you to be born, countless other sperm cells are sacrificed. So with the odds of 300 million to 1, you prevail. Therefore, you must be lucky, no doubt. We often hear the word chosen life, usually referred to people who are more talented or lead a finer life or are better looking. In fact, we must realize that all of us from the moment we are born enter a chosen life. For countless other sperm cells sacrificed is definitely a regrettable thing indeed. When we receive the priceless gift of life, we also receive a mission to achieve something worthwhile in this world. How to get rid of nasty habits. Almost all of us have some kind of a bad habit. While we don't need to get rid of habits that are harmless and could be funny or amusing, we must clear ourselves from habits that could cause unhappy situations, hurt, trouble, mistakes, and or other unpleasantness. Instead of saying, well, I have grown accustomed to my habits, or I can't get rid of them, or I'm no good anyway, we must realize that it is possible to get rid of habits that are obstacles in our lives. Getting angry or getting tired of things quickly are just a few of those habits that are just nothing but obstacles. Getting angry or being dissatisfied and greedy does not help to get rid of our problems either. We all receive all kinds of suggestions from our environment or society we live in. Though these suggestions are coming from outside of ourselves, they do indeed influence us. When the weather is fine, for example, we are fine too. But when it is cloudy or rainy, it affects us easily and we might feel despondent. Compliments and praise make us feel good, and disrespect and slander make us feel sad. Climate, culture and customs, manners and types of weather, all are some of these reasons why people from different places and backgrounds are different. These variations among the people are all the result of exterior suggestions. The color green is relaxing and the color red exciting. Spanish bulls are not the only creatures that the color red boils their blood. In the old times, the authorities would place all the suspects of a criminal activity into a room painted in red. After a while, the man who was the real criminal would see red wherever he looked, even when he had closed eyes. Eventually, he would go mad and confess. On the other hand, city planners plant greenery and green trees around town to result in calm and tranquil surroundings, since we all feel relaxed when out of the city among the greenery. Our subconscious, the way it is now, is the result of a long time of conscious experiences based on suggestions coming from things in our environment surrounding us. Therefore, changing our bad habits or the content of our subconscious would surely take more than a few efforts. To change our subconscious to contain only good material, resulting in our conscious mind to do and become involved in only positive activities, we must use our utmost limits of our willpower to embrace only good material and activities, and instead of taking everything as they come to us, to use our judgment and choose which is good and positive, and shun all the negatives away from ourselves. We should not think since we come from a stable background and upbringing, therefore we can associate with any crowd and won't be influenced. Because even though a negative suggestion might be weak at first and seem harmless, but presented to us over and over, would gain strength and eventually enter deep into our subconscious, and the very activity or association which was unacceptable to us becomes acceptable, and before we know it, our conscious is acting it out in our day-to-day life. By understanding the power of the mind and having our mind and body coordinated, we may keep putting good material in our subconscious, therefore expecting good from our conscious mind, resulting in a more positive life. You could use this subconscious power and storage to do great things, or stop doing things you don't want to do, such as stop smoking, or stop drinking, or stopping whatever other bad habits you might have. All you have to do is, when you're ready to go to bed at night, just before actually closing your eyes, looking into a mirror, gazing sincerely at yourself for 30 seconds to a minute, then command the face in the mirror. You hate smoking. Not I hate smoking. You hate smoking. This will double the effect, since the picture in the mirror is addressing you, even though you are saying it. Or, you hate drinking. Or, you hate using drugs. Or, you hate lying to your loved ones. Or, you hate to be unkind to your children or spouse, and etc., etc., etc. After having said what you wish to get rid of, then say no words and sleep immediately. Doing this every night before sleeping in the manner just explained will ensure your subconscious mind give proper signals to your conscious mind to just do the right thing, as there would only be information that would cause you not to do what you don't want to do. In other words, your conscious mind, following information supplied by your subconscious mind, would have no choice other than not doing what you don't want done. You will also get up in the morning having the idea you put in your subconscious mind the night before. After a while using this method, your subconscious would have gotten rid of the old information or behavior and adopts the new wish of yours as its mandate and information to store and supply to the conscious mind. Positive thinking could be fun. We just must train ourselves to think and seek positive points of different subjects. For example, if we have a glass of water and drink half of it, we could look at it and say, half of my glass is empty. But we could also say, half of my glass is still full. Thinking positive is not difficult. It just has to become a habit and has to make sense to you. For example, stop moaning and groaning about what you don't have. Instead, think and be happy about the things that you don't want to have and are not having it. Think about this. How to increase our life energy. Meditation not only promotes our health and gives us the confidence and power we need to face the challenges of our lives, it also helps us to touch everything positively, therefore doing our share in making a better world. Meditation is important to improve the interchange between our ki, or energy, and the ki of the universe, therefore becoming healthier. Even when we are already mentally and physically sound, we can always improve. Imagine a glass full of water. How can we put more water in this already full glass? By pouring some of it to the flowers or into another glass. To pour some of it out, create the space needed to be filled again. Same thing with us. The way to bring more ki into our lives is by extending positive thoughts and energy to the others, or to the universe in general. Therefore, more fresh ki can fill us up. This is one of the things we accomplish when we meditate, which is the same as changing the air of a closed room or a kitchen full of smoke from cooking. By opening the windows, you allow the old, stale or smoky air to exit and fresh air to enter. In meditation, we do the same. We improve the conflux between our energy and the energy of the universe, thereby bringing new and fresh ki into ourselves to be used for a better, more confident, and a more positive and healthier life. How to become better looking. We can do our best to get younger and beautiful. Everybody likes to be strong, young, and get more beautiful. And this is possible. Not through cosmetic surgery, which this kind of changes are only temporary and we cannot deceive people for very long, since in a while it will go back to the way it was. But in a real and natural way, we can achieve this through reflection of our mind through our bodies. If we look at the portraits of outstanding people of the world, such as humanitarians or scholars of different fields, we notice that even though some of them did not have such fine faces when they were much younger, are quite presentable and good-looking in their later years. The reverse is also true. If we compare a picture belonging to a handsome young man with the picture of the same man taken just before execution for a lifetime of serious crime, you will see that the young man's face in the second portrait is changed drastically and not handsome anymore. The point is that the spiritual state, due to the type of life we lead, can change the way our faces look. While changing it to worse is not the purpose we should have in mind, we should be embarrassed if we don't make any progress in the way we look and simply look just as we did when we were a youth. This would mean we have made no spiritual progress through our lives, which could mean we could have led a life full of selfishness, anger, negative activities, greed, or ill wishes for many others, or a life which was not enriched by being loyal to someone or something. If there is no loyalty, there would hardly be any happiness. Just as a beautiful young person should not settle with that beauty and rely that this beauty will accompany him or her throughout their life, no matter how that life is spent, a not beautiful person should not despair and think that if he or she is not good looking, then that is how it is going to stay forever. Since both can work changes in their faces through a spiritual and attitude toward philosophy of life and being. This would not be a cosmetic beauty, but a long-lasting, real beauty that changes from the center core and makes positive changes in the facial structure, which is also transferable to the offspring through your seeds. Whereas cosmetic beauty is not transferable and is only skin deep. We must always continue. Remember, anything is possible, as long as you want it bad enough. If you believe, you can do it. So it is not important how difficult it is. It's important that it's possible. There are a number of challenges that might come our way in life. We must prepare for them before they arrive. We must prepare our mind to be strong and disciplined enough to be able to withstand the pressures of these challenges and to be able to make the right decision by being able to judge well. To judge well, we need to have a calm mind. To have a calm mind, we must learn to meditate. In maneuvering with these challenges of life, it is possible to feel troubled or down, depressed or feel defeated and ready to give up and not wanting to go on anymore. But do you think we will get anywhere by not going on? Of course not. We all know that things always do change. So no matter how hard things may look, they can always change. But we must take care of ourselves in the meantime so when things do change, we would be ready to make something positive out of it. So it is imperative to get up and continue on, and not let challenges of life stop our stride. Let's try to see more clearly why we must always continue. Think of yourself as a couple of strong, beautiful horses. And think of life as a carriage which is attached to these horses with just ropes. Now, think these horses are running very fast, therefore pulling this carriage behind them. If there comes an obstacle in front of these horses, what options do you think these horses have? One is to crash into the obstacle, which I'm sure is not the wisest thing to do. The other is to stop at once, in which case the carriage will ram into them and crush their backs. And the other one is to see the lowest part of this obstacle and jump over it and continue going. Now, should we continue on and not allow the challenges of life to stop us? Or should we lay there when we see an obstacle and get crushed? I'm sure the answer is clear to everyone as to why we must always go on, so we may get to where we intend to go. In order to clear the obstacles at their lowest points, we must have a clear mind, so we may reflect more clearly and very quickly. For that, we must learn to relax our mind through meditation. Why do we have to get to know our mind and develop it? Because through understanding our mind, which is ourselves, we can develop it into a positive, kind, and responsible mind, so we may be proud of what we are and what we stand for, so we may become centered. This means we may stay on the right track and not to be moved around and away from positiveness, kindness, sense of responsibility, and loyalty by influences that we may come to know and experience. Perhaps we may see it more clearly why we must establish properly developed roots using this example. Imagine and think of yourself to be a log floating on a river, which represents the society in this example. Now this log is being influenced by this river and is subject to the whims and wishes of the river. It will collide into anything that the river heads it into. It is pushed to the muddy part of the river, and the river may leave the log right there in the mud and garbage if the river desires it. It takes the log under the water through the currents as long as it wants, and if the log recovers, it may be thrown from high up where the river becomes a waterfall to the bottom of it. In any case, the log is at the mercy of the river. Now imagine if this log had roots. Then it would be a tree in this river, not a log. Therefore, it would be stable and standing upright, with its root deep into the riverbed. Now this tree does not have to go wherever the river wants it to go. It does not have to take in or get stuck to any garbage or other undesired material. It is not just being subjected to the whims of the river, for the tree is now influencing the river too, by making the water of the river branch out, separate, and go around the sides of the tree when it gets to the tree. The tree can now choose to absorb what it wants, letting go by the sides the garbage that it does not desire, unlike before where it had to lay in the mud or junk because that's where it was taken to by the river. Don't you think we too should establish roots and become centered and grounded by knowing what we are and why and what we stand for? Aware of our responsibilities so we may not be influenced by just anything that goes on in our societies or by just any habit, behavior, or lifestyle that is in fashion, pleasant, or suitable to some or promoted by the television soaps and series. so we may not be taken just anywhere that the society wishes us to be taken. Rather, we would have our roots, principles, responsibilities, and loyalties according to which we choose what is the right place for us to go, or the right and most proper action to take, or the lifestyle to adopt. Establishing properly developed roots helps us not to be so vulnerable and or to fly into the arms of any new thing just because it seems fun at the time. Many people who are not patient or strong and confident enough to withstand the challenges of life think the problem must be in their spouses, and their dissatisfaction with their life is in the way that their spouses are communicating with them or expecting of them. So they destroy their marriage, their home, and comfort of their children for a temporary change of cosmetics of their life, without realizing that the responsibilities and duties to attend to are constant and would have to be attended to just like before, regardless of changing their mate or lifestyle to a less responsible one. Life is not a big party where you have no plans and stagnating through time, allowing yourself to be influenced by whatever comes your way. It is wise to think of life as a journey, where you should have plans as to which path to take and where to place your steps, so it would be solid and stable to take another step, so you may actually arrive to a point of proper destination. We can achieve these strong roots and high levels of confidence to withstand the temptations that are out there every day by strengthening our mind through meditation.